Hello, welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie, and today I wanted to share with you a finished project. This video is just on this one finished project. It is not my typical video that goes through all of my works in progress, kind of what's going on in my life, stuff like that. I wanted to just take some time to share with you a sweater that I recently tested for designer Samantha Guerin. So this is the Salty Air sweater. I tested this in January, February, and the release is early March, year 2024. I tested the Salty Air tee for Samantha a couple of years ago, which is a fingering weight tee sweater, and it's the same lace yoke in the top section, and this one is a DK light worsted weight sweater knit at a different gauge. I believe the tee is at 24 stitches for 4 inches. I don't remember exactly. I think so. And then this one is knit at 18 stitches for 4 inches. So completely different gauge, and this one comes with long sleeves and a full length body, although you could knit the body to any length you desire. And the sleeves actually come with 2 options. There's a more fitted tapered sleeve option and then a more full voluminous sleeve option. So I just wanted to share with you the one that I knit and the yarn, the size, the ease, my feel of as far as how the process of it went, and maybe some ideas on how you can pick a color that works for you or a certain type of yarn that might work best for you. So this sweater comes in 10 sizes. The range in chest circumference, finished chest circumference, is 32 inches to 68 inches. I knit the second size for a finished circumference of 36 inches. The recommended ease is 2 to 6 inches. Me picking the second size of a finished circumference of 36 inches gives me 4 inches of positive ease, right within that middle part of the recommended ease. And I really like how it turned out. I'm going to stand up and turn around to kind of give you a better idea. Mine is knit full length, so my hip is here and it's several inches past my hip. And again, I knit the full length sleeve, the more fitted tapered sleeve version, so there are decreases along it. And if you decide that you don't want it as tapered, then you can just adjust the decrease rate as you go. Mine are full length, and I think for some people the sleeves were too long, but generally for me, I always end up lengthening sleeves by a couple of inches for the size that I picked based on chest circumference, because I like my sleeves to be either all the way covering my wrists, or they have to be intentionally bracelet length or intentionally 3/4 length. But I don't like knitting sleeves that are supposed to be full length and then they end up bracelet length because they're just not long enough. And so these are plenty long, and so when I stretch my arms out, they don't shrink up. And so far, you know, with elbows, I feel like they tend to take some of the fabric, and so far it hasn't affected the length for me because I think I knit them plenty long, so it worked out just fine for me. The ease in the sleeve is not very much, but I think it's really comfortable. They aren't baggy and they aren't tight. I don't have any negative ease on my sleeves, so it works out well. The yarn that I used is Purl Soho's knitting yarn. It is 100% non-superwash merino wool. Here is the label on the screen. And this yarn comes in 219 yards for 100 grams. The colorway I used is Cat Paw Pink. I purchased it during like a spring cleaning sale by Purl Soho, and it had a lot of discontinued colors in it. So this color is one of the discontinued colors, and I just love it. It's like a heathered peachy pink, which has some variation in it. It's very soft. It's very round. I opted not to do a tubular bind off. I just bound off in pattern, but I think this yarn being very round, it would look very nice and tidy if you chose to do the tubular bind off. There is a slight halo to the yarn. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but there is a little bit of fuzz to it. I haven't worn it enough to be able to give you a good gauge on like pilling or how it wears over time, but surely in future episodes I will be wearing it and maybe can give an update then. I did change up the needle sizes than recommended in the pattern. I used a US 8 for the main fabric. The pattern recommends a US 7. I think some of it depends on the yarn that you use. It just matters if you get gauge with whatever needle size works for you. I know that I've worked with this yarn before. It's very bouncy, and being 100% non-superwash wool, it does retain its shape and kind of like want to go back. So I feel like I didn't need the smaller needle sizes, as small as the pattern recommended for some of the ribbing as well. The pattern had recommended, I think, a US 3 for some of the ribbing, and I just felt like that was going to be way too tight for me. So I used a US 5 for the collar, the cuff, and the hem. And then my main fabric was a US 8. Oh, sorry, for the body hem, I did just US 6. So I only went down 2 needle sizes for the body hem, but I did go down 3 needle sizes for the cuffs and the neckline. I forgot to mention the neckline also has 2 options. The pattern has you just cast on and start with the body or the yoke section, and then you go back and pick up the neckline, and you can either do like a single bit of ribbing, or you can do a double and then stitch it down on the inside for this fold over type of neckline. I, however, again, have used this yarn before on previous projects, and I know it doesn't weigh down, so I didn't need that extra stability of just starting with a cast on and then picking up from the cast on, which usually gives sweaters a little bit of extra stability so it doesn't stretch out the neckline. But again, having worked with this yarn before, I know how it behaves in a sweater, and so I actually just cast on for my neckline ribbing from the beginning, and then I folded it in half, knit it to my cast on, and then I just kept going from there. So I did not knit that in 2 separate sections. I have a tutorial for how I do the fold over. In the tutorial, it's for sock cuffs, and it's all stockinette. There's no ribbing, but the method is exactly the same. I do an Old Norwegian cast on, which is nice and stretchy, and then I do my ribbing or, stockinette for the tutorial. That's how it is. And then I fold it wrong sides together and I knit it to my cast on edge, and it works just fine. If you're worried about it not being stretchy enough, you can always do your cast on with a bigger needle and then do that, but I've found it to be no problem doing an Old Norwegian cast on, which is plenty stretchy. I used 800 yards, and that is the equivalent of about 366 grams of this yarn. I love how it turned out. It blocked out beautifully. I am really excited to wear it. I found the pattern for this lace section very easy to follow, even for a non-lace knitter like me. And the pattern does come charted and written out. So depending on what you prefer, both of the options are there for you. I did follow the chart, and I did put in markers between each lace repeat. And that way, if I did mess up somewhere, it was much easier to count how many stitches were in each section and figure out where I had an extra stitch or missed a stitch somewhere. And then the rest was just easy stockinette in the round. Aside from the neckline and then just binding off in pattern, I don't believe I made any other modifications anywhere. This was such an enjoyable knit. I really like Samantha's patterns. I feel like her pattern layout is actually really nice to look at. I don't find the font too big or too small or complicated to follow. I feel like this lace section adds a little feminine touch to an otherwise pretty basic sweater. One more thing I forgot to add is that though this lace section is worked as a round yoke sweater, for additional shaping, there are raglan increases by the underarm before you separate for sleeves, and I find that to be really great for fit. You don't end up with any like rippling of extra fabric, and the increases are well laid out where this front section lays nice and flat, and I feel like the fit is just really nice. You just don't end up with a bunch of extra fabric where you don't want it. So if you are looking for a sweater that is at an 18 stitch per 4-inch gauge, I do really recommend this one. It is knit top down, so you can try it on as you go. You can adjust the sleeve length however way you want. You can also adjust the body length however way you want. Maybe you want something that is more cropped to go over dresses or to wear with high-waisted jeans. Again, mine is full length, and so the top of my jeans are here, and if I wanted to, I could tuck it in on top. And I feel like that looks nice as well, but otherwise it looks just fine not tucked in. I think something that's nice about this lace section is that there gives a little bit of airflow, especially for a sweater that might be slightly heavier weight and maybe you want to wear it as a transition piece into spring, or maybe it is one that you want to wear in the fall to go into winter, or maybe in the winter you're going to layer it with tank tops underneath for a little bit of extra warmth. I feel like this is a sweater that can look great in so many colors. I would probably stay away from ones that are super highly variegated if you want the lace section to stand out a little more. I feel like the lace section could get a little hidden if the yarn is super highly variegated. Otherwise, a yarn that has a light speckle is probably fine. I think this looks great in any sort of solid or heathered yarn. Something tweed might work as well. And if you do want to try doing some combination of like Surrey plus a fingering weight, like a Surrey lace weight yarn or a mohair lace weight yarn plus a fingering weight yarn, if you can get gauge, I say go for it. The fuzz might make this lace section not stand out as much, but something subtle like that could still look really, really nice. A round yarn like I used is going to make the lace section pop quite a bit more, just because of the stitch definition, and I really do love that. I love how it's going to stand out and look really, really crisp. My daughter was saying it looked really cool that it was like kind of 3D. I think she was looking for the word embossed. So she just thought it was super cool that things look like they were like popping out. So I think that is all due to this round yarn. I think it just makes it pop out a lot more. But that being said, if you use a different combination, I think it could also look very lovely. It just kind of depends on what look you are going for. In my mind, I'm thinking like a dark green could look really nice. A nice neutral gray could be an everyday piece. A cream could look amazing and just kind of throw on with anything. So many different color combinations and so many different moods. And if you wanted to change up sleeve length and make it really a more springy piece, you could find a yarn that has a linen blend to it and maybe make it elbow length sleeves. So many different ways to really make it your own. If you do give it a try, I hope you enjoy making it as much as I did. Take care. Feel like this lace section on top gives a little bit of interest and adds a little bit of femininity to